Welcome back to our channel. Today we're going to be talking about something that really impacts the drone community, the NDAA and the Countering CCP Drones Act. I'm going to be talking about the differences between the House version and the Senate version of the bill and what it means for us as we move forward. In recent years, there have been concerns about the security over Chinese-made drones, specifically DJI. So this has led to some legislation known as the Countering CCP Drones Act. The National Defense Authorization Act, or the NDAA, is a comprehensive bill that outlines how the U.S. Department of Defense is going to budget and spend their money. So in this bill, they have attached on the Countering CCP Drones Act because they don't want government officials to be using drones that are subsidized by the Chinese Communist Party. That's what the CCP stands for. The thing that kind of screws us as drone advocates is that we have a bill in the House and in the Senate. The House version of the Countering CCP Drones Act is focusing on banning the purchase and use of drones that are connected to the CCP in any way, and it also has a timeline for phasing out drones that is very short. I want to say it's 1 year. The Senate bill has restrictions for future purchase of DJI drones, and it also has a provision where it adds DJI to the FCC's covered list. So if the DJI gets on the FCC's covered list, then no DJI products will be able to be flown in America. We're going to break this down in detail. First of all, we have the House version. The House version is going to include an immediate ban on federal purchases. That means federal agencies are going to be prohibited from purchasing drones manufactured by companies subsidized by the CCP. There's also a replacement mandate. All federal agencies must replace their existing CCP drones within a year. There's also a supply chain requirement. Federal agencies must ensure that components used in drones are secure and not sourced from any companies linked to the CCP. On the other hand, we have the Senate version. The Senate version is very similar, but it has a gradual ban on federal purchases. So instead of having an immediate ban, it's going to have a 2-year window to phase out the purchases of CCP-linked drones, and existing drones will be able to be used through this period. Something different about the Senate bill is they also have an extended replacement timeline. They're actually giving us 3 years to replace our DJI drones. Allegedly, there is some funding for R&D, which is really good. It only allots $100 million for research and development with drones, and that is not enough to replace the 10 million drones that are wanted and needed in America. And then lastly, the Senate version includes comprehensive security audits. Agencies must conduct thorough security audits of their drone fleets and supply chains, and a yearly report of the progress on drone replacement and security measures is required to be submitted by Congress. Both bills aim to reduce reliance on CCP drones and enhance national security. There are some major differences. The House bill is a pretty immediate effect, and it has some funding for targeted use. The Senate bill has a more gradual impact, and it's going to have more money for R&D. But both of these bills do not include actual government subsidies to American manufacturers, and that's what I'm worried about, the huge vacuum that this is going to create with the drones leaving the market. Now that we've covered the differences between the House and the Senate bill, we're going to talk about how they impact the drone community. What does it mean for our community at large if these bills get reconciled and signed into law? Well, there's a number of impacts that we could see. First is on federal agencies. The federal agencies that currently use DJI are going to have to replace their drones, but we know that these agencies historically have very small amounts of funding, so they're not going to be able to replace their entire fleet. Then we have the private sector to think about, the people who have businesses and are making money with the drones. So this bill is initially targeted at federal agencies, but it's going to have a trickle-down effect. And all these people who use their DJI drones for their company are not going to be able to use them anymore. So they have the same problems as the federal government, where they're going to have to replace their fleet and diversify their fleet at a high expense to them. It should be noted that there is no mention of a buyback in this bill. There's also implications for the domestic market. Now, the long-term implications of this is that we're going to have high-quality American-made drones for a good price. But we don't have any government subsidization for these drones, so how are we going to be able to compete? We need to have the government subsidizing factories so that we can churn out enough drones that are subsidized enough that they can cost a decent amount. While there is no direct ban for hobbyists, if it goes onto the FCC covered list, then we're not going to be able to fly our drones at all. So it doesn't really matter that it doesn't specifically mention hobbyists in the bill. This could also lead to a trickle-down effect in awareness and scrutiny in local governments. So there might be cities, municipalities, states making their own legislation that further restricts this. As a hobbyist, it's always good to be aware of the potential market changes and any legislation going on. What happens next? Like I said earlier, the House and the Senate are going to have to reconcile the differences between this bill, but the fact that it's attached to the NDAA means it's most likely going to get passed. This is a sneaky way that our legislators like to do things. They like to take current hot-button issues, say China, they'd like to take that and attach it to something that is basically guaranteed to be passed. So we have to really consider what the implications are for us. In businesses and as hobbyists, we need to be aware of how when this bill gets passed, they're going to have a either direct immediate ban or a gradual phasing out of DJI products in the American market. And we're going to have figure out the funding and support. We need to lobby our legislators in order to get domestic manufacturing up to scale. Market shifts, we need to make sure that there are companies who are looking out for our best interests in America. It's just to say the stuff that they're accusing China of doing isn't happening in our country too. The Countering CCP Drones Act is a significant step in addressing national security concerns, but I also think that it's a significant step in limiting what we're able to do as artists and creators. As a drone community, it's essential for us to be informed and to contact our legislators and tell them how this will directly impact our daily lives. It's not just the ones that are in the federal government. This will have a trickle-down effect. It's not too late to act. Should contact your representatives both in the House and the Senate to let them know how this would impact our daily lives. We do not need this Countering CCP Drones Act attached to the NDAA. If you want to go ahead and legislate the drones, you need to have it separate. Please do not let this time go by. You can visit something easy, the Drone Advocacy Alliance, and you can just type in your address, submit it to your representatives on the House side and the Senate side. Thanks for watching. If you found this video helpful, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to stay up to date with the latest drone news and reviews. Until next time, thanks for watching. Fly safe.